Hello people, today I'm going to be doing a review for the new Disney Plus animated series, What If? This is the brand new series by Marvel. It was 9 episodes, about 30 minutes each, and my anticipation level really was kind of non-existent. I wasn't impressed with the trailers. I think I'm famously known for not loving everything animation. Like, don't get me wrong, I love Into the Spider-Verse. I love most of what Pixar has done, but more so stuff like from Illumination. It's the type of stuff I don't necessarily like in animation. So this show, I didn't really have any expectations. I was like, I'll either like it or I won't. And overall, for me, this show was kind of a mixed bag. There's some episodes I really liked. There's some episodes I thought it was just man. There's some episodes I just downright don't like at all. And particularly for the episodes I thought was the roughest to get through were actually episode 1 and the Party Thor episode, I think, which is episode 7, I believe. And it's funny because I like them, I dislike them for opposite reasons, which is kind of it shows how the show has to really find a good balance between the concept and retelling, because the first episode was a little too much of the same for me to really get on with the concept, and episode 7 was just way too out there for me to really even grasp or understand why this is a what if question, because the Party Thor episode just was like the cool thing about when these episodes worked is because they felt like scenarios, like it felt like whenever we got these scenarios, the universe's response felt like the type of response that we would get out of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So when Party Thor goes down to Earth and everyone's just like, yeah, we love Party Thor, it didn't feel accurate to me. You would think that there would be more of a... Of course, they try to have the conflict with Nick Fury and Captain Marvel, but it just didn't feel accurate to the universe that it's trying to, deviate from. Because it's trying to, of course, deviate off, because what if Thor was an only child? But when Thor gets to Earth, everyone is just so accepting, which does not make any sense to me. So it was so much of, there's a lot of things that like that's a far stretch. That's a far stretch. But and that's what's so fascinating about why I didn't like or liked an episode, because episode 1 was very loyal to the source material, but it felt like we just watched the same movie again. So when episodes worked, like episode 4, the episode with Doctor Strange, it was something in our universe, but it didn't feel like it was impossible to happen, like with Party Thor. So you really had to find that good balance between the two, and that's why some episodes worked more than others for me. And then there's some episode concepts I just was not on board with, or some things I just found boring. And yeah, so I'm gonna quickly go through each episode, say whether I liked it or not. First episode, not Party Thor, Captain Carter. Didn't love it, but I don't love necessarily the movie that it takes place during. So if I liked the first Avenger, I might like this a little bit more, but I'm not sure. T'Challa Star-Lord episode, which was next, I thought was fine. I thought Chadwick Boseman gave a fantastic voice performance throughout all of these episodes. He really was a standout. Episode 3, I liked some of the ideas there, but it didn't necessarily add up that well for me, because it was very detailed. Because the cool thing about the show is like it tweaks one little thing, and it changes everything. That's what's so fascinating about like how delicate the universe is. This episode was real. Episode 3, with the Hank Pym Wasp scenario, it was very like it was like so far into the what if already that it didn't necessarily have time for me to not grasp it, but to really accept it for what it was, if that makes sense. I did enjoy it though. I thought episode 3 was a fun watch, but it did have me a little conflicted by the end. Episode 4, my favorite episode. It was a mental deep dive into Doctor Strange, and to show you how mentally delicate he was before he was Doctor Strange. And the way that they just dove into that it was perfect. Well, it wasn't perfect. I thought the episode was a little just a tad too. Of course, it did like the sad montage of Rachel on. I'm calling her Rachel, but I'm probably thinking of the Dark Knight movies. his love interest, Christine, it came back to me. Christine dying over and over again. It's like, okay, we have 30 minutes. I know you want to make this montage. Just maybe trim it down and add a little bit later. So just little things like that. But I still really loved episode 4. It's my favorite of the show. Episode 5, which was I have the episodes pulled up right here. I'm going to cheat. Okay, the What If Zombies. Another episode I thought was okay. It had some fantastic moments. And, yeah, it had some fantastic moments. I'll leave it at that. There was a lot of comedy in this episode, and it's just kind of funny to me that one of the more comedy-heavy episodes is the one where we're dealing with a zombie apocalypse. Because, like, zombie apocalypse, I watched most of The Walking Dead, and, it's a very heavy thing, and so zombie apocalypses, I'm like, okay, that's such a cool concept. Let's see how it's going to happen with Marvel. And, we have Spider-Man making home videos, and oh, that person just died. I want to make a joke 5 seconds later. So it didn't carry that weight I wanted, like, a zombies episode to have, but it had some cool ideas, concepts, and zombie Wanda. Awesome. And episode after that, episode 6, What If Killmonger saved Tony Stark? This was another episode I enjoyed, but I thought was rather forgettable. My favorite thing about the episode, I'll say this, that they brought back Ludwig Göransson. Well, he didn't compose the episode, but they brought back his theme that he created for Killmonger. Brought it back. It was awesome. But like I said, the episode as a whole, it was kind of forgettable, and mostly because once the episode started to really pick up, it ended. So it really was a lot of questions of I don't think the show overall necessarily nailed the idea that I had in my head for what if that makes sense. So it was not so much what if, it was like placing you in the middle of a scenario. So and of course, it just really depends on taste. Like, what are your expectations? Like I said, I know expectations going into this. And so, but I do have, my ideas of what it's going to be. And so it wasn't necessarily that. But now that the show is done, I'm like, well, it could have been this. Because, mostly because I know the show has the guts to pull off certain things that I saw it do in other episodes, and it not doing it in its later episodes specifically, it was kind of a letdown each time. And yeah, but the Eric Killmonger episode had some great concepts, ideas. It's some familiar beats, which was fine. But at the end of the day, it was one of the more forgettable episodes, sadly. Next up, episode 7, Party Thor, my least favorite episode of the show because, wasn't what I wanted it to be. But I already talked about Party Thor. And we had episode 8 and 9, which I'm going to talk about at the same time. What an interesting 2 episodes, because it really tried to, wrap things up. But at that point, I was just like, this late into the show, they're trying to connect everything, which was okay, I guess. Not because necessarily there's some things I didn't care for and some things I cared for, but necessarily, I at the end of the day, I'm like, okay, it's kind of like bringing together the Avengers. Like, what if, like all these multiverses were caught in. And the more I thought about it, the more I was fine with it. But I wish there was a little bit more hints throughout that they were going to be really leading to that. Ultron, Thanos, or whatever, Infinity Gauntlet, Ultron, Vision, Thanos, whatever I'm going to call it. I thought that thing was awesome. The action sequences with every single action sequence with him was creative, colorful, and unique. Episode 8 and 9 are 2 of my favorites of the show, but episode 4 is still my favorite. But episode 8 and 9, once they really, because I really think they had something with, what if Ultron was successful with creating his vision for Vision, and where would that go? And that's something I was always fascinated with, and so that's the one thing I did like about the Party Thor episode, and I was like, once they set that up, that was awesome. So, you see it pay off better than I thought it was going to be paid off was really well done. Of course, in episode 9, you could tell that, they kind of plopped Gamora in there because that's the one episode that they had to cut away because it was incomplete, and they're putting it in next season, supposedly. So it was kind of strange just to see us like, hey, we got a Gamora now. But I think maybe I would have, if I were Disney, I just would have waited another month. People, the same amount of people would have watched the show either way. Just complete the episode is the way I see it. It's like because we were missing a puzzle piece to it. But overall, now I talked about each episode individually, I thought, like I said, I was 50-50. It's either episode worked for me, I enjoyed it, I thought it was forgettable. It just depends. And, there's going to be some people that like some episodes more than others. It's just a matter of taste, I think. And overall, this show was, at the end of the day, almost exactly what I thought it was going to be. That's why I wasn't too excited, out of my seat for it, because I saw the trailers, I wasn't impressed. And there was this moments in the show I was impressed. In some moments, I was like, okay, this is what I thought it was going to be. So overall, I want you guys to comment down below what you guys thought of this show. Overall, were you guys disappointed? Were you guys just kind of like, that's what I expected it to be, like me? Or were you guys really impressed and loved it? But I'm going to give What If, this is a hard, I've had so many scores, but like I said, I am mixed, and I'm just going to go ahead and give it a 5.7 out of 10. Because it is what it is. There's my professional review. What If, 5.7 out of 10. It is what it is. So, yeah. Anyways, like, share, subscribe, and stuff like that, and adios.